It is 9:30, baby, on a Thursday night. And you're tuned into Beltway Radio and beyond, which can mean one of several things at this point.
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, 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 ding.
Welcome to Chip Chat. I'm Chip. Who are you, Tez?
You just told him. What's up, everybody?
Hey, we're back. So, look, if you're wondering why we're doing this remote, it's because we want to relive our COVID days together. No.
The better shows.
Yeah, right. Back when we were funny.
Yeah. I'm running on E.
Yeah. So I am on location here in Binghamton, New York. Actually, is where I'm hiding in this holiday, and because, of course, this is where the real debt ceiling negotiations are going down. So in the room behind me, in the next room over, is Dumb Kevin.
Which I feel like I saw an update. I didn't read it. There was an update.
No, I hadn't seen anything new, but that was only a couple hours ago. Last time I checked.
Yeah.
What's new?
We get White House and GOP closing on deal to raise debt limit and cut spending.
Oh, good.
I think this thing still goes over the cliff. I'm sorry. I think there's not enough time. You still have to call everybody back. There's no way this goes through. There's no way.
And I think also Congress has demonstrated their or at least the Marjorie caucus.
Yes, exactly. We should be specific about that.
Demonstrated their ability to utterly tank things through sheer ignorance, not just because they hate the function of government, but because they're just too stupid to operate the levers.
Here's the other thing too. Depending on the cuts that are proposed on that, you need 214 Democrats on this as well.
Well, they're going to need some Democrats probably because there's going to be several Republicans who are going to vote no on any raising of the debt ceiling regardless because they are hell bent on the destruction. But there's also this problem.
Matt Gaetz.
Gaetz is one of them. But there's also this problem of like the procedure that it has to get scored and it has to have 72 hours.
Oh God, yes, the CBO and everything.
Yeah, and there's some of these Republicans who have said, I'm not sure that they believe it, that there's certain CBO scores that they just won't vote for. Now, I don't believe that they're principled enough to stick to anything they say, but that is also a possibility. So like it's all out there. It could, if you've got any money in the market, probably get it out and hold on.
I mean, don't take advice from us in general. First of all, consult you. Like, because I look at it the other way, I'm like, hey, buy the dip.
Well, yeah, oh no, absolutely buy the dip. Yeah, definitely buy the dip.
You should be, because it's going to dip.
I buy the dip every time. That's how I make my money.
And unfortunately, other people will just lose their jobs. So, well, you know, that's gonna happen. People don't understand how. I think this is the biggest story that. I mean, maybe it's not. I mean, climate change shut down an F1 race. I feel like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But
it's pretty on the nose, right? It's like climate change is like, hey, you guys are wasting fuel to drive around in circles. Yeah,
shut that one down. So, but
karma. Yeah. So anyway, I'm here observing the debt ceiling. This week we have a special guest. We have an author and all-around amazing human being. Tyrus is going to join us. He's going to be also live via satellite because it's 1965 and we're saying live via satellite. And that's how we used to do things.
It is how we used to do things. John was calling in on a car phone, so.
That's right. There was one satellite. It was called Telstar. Like that was the one.
Was so old.
And you could bounce one signal off of it. So like one could use the satellite.
That space is littered with satellites.
There's these constellations.
Litter.
There's actual litter. It's our great success as a species that we've managed to litter off the planet.
Oh, we're such just bad.
We're bad.
We're just bad.
We're doing okay.
And all of this stuff. So, all right. Well,
so he's gonna join us. Also, Meatball Ron. He's selling ridiculous hats and trying to make sure that nobody goes to Florida. Also, doesn't seem to know how to operate Twitter. So,
I mean, the CEO doesn't know how to operate Twitter.
Well, he fired all the people who do. So we're going to talk about that. Somehow Rudy's involved.
Always. I saw that, of course.
Why not? Oregon can't self-govern, but somehow is still allowed to, unlike the district, which is not, and can self-govern sometimes. How's Penguin McDuffie doing these days?
Yeah, I mean, middle of the road. Seems everybody's council's moving fine.
Middle of the bike lanes.
No, don't get in the middle of that. That's a war.
That is a war.
That is one of the crazier wars that I like, and it's really weird for me because I bike everywhere.
But also you ride the bus, and also you need there to be like access. I who I really would love to know like what they think of this is L'Enfant and Banneker. Like they drew this whole city. And now there's this dumb fight about how to use the streets they drew.
Yeah, I mean, but again, they were drawing this city for horse and carriage type stuff. They could never fathom that this would end up being a city where it just mows people down as they walk through. A 1,000-pound vehicle mows people. Look,
you would think that the Frenchmen would like have made bike lanes. At the very least.
Yeah, that is very, very European and very French. Yeah, you'd think they would have, but they would side on the bike lanes. This would go down again. This is a tale of two Americas.
That's right. All right. Trump is getting sued for more stuff, and we're going to do a special Florida or not. So we'll see how our guest does with that.
I saw it.
Yeah.
So it's a good.
Well, that's how that's supposed to work. He's supposed to answer.
Exactly. That means I was reading.
Means you read the show. I saw when you logged in and started reading it 10 minutes ago. So exactly. I was like, oh, this is the most prepared Tez has been in a long time.
Exactly. So, I did some preparation. Proper planning prevents poor preparation.
Or something like that.
Isn't that proper planning prevents poor performance? Excuse me.
There you go. Yeah. Poor performance.
Not poor preparation.
All right. So speaking of poor preparation, do you have a word?
Oh God.
I've got a great word. Thinking is hard.
Yeah, it is, and it's not good for radio. It's terrible radio. I do have a word.
Okay, I'm ready. All right.
You're ready. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So sit back, grab some
icebergs.
It's Twitter Spaces time. You're listening to the best show, the only show, Chit Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's popping up?
All right, so this is a special edition of our regular segment called The Rundown. This is the Rundown Florida edition. I wonder if Brian has the sound effect. I don't know if we can play it on.
Oh, God.
It's not.
Look, come on.
We're on remote, maybe.
We're on remote, exactly.
Florida or not.
There you go. That's pretty good. Okay.
That's really good. That's really good, actually.
It's a good impression.
And the way
it delivered it. Yes.
The way it cut in sounded kind of like our rough shot type of shit that like cutting in at just the wrong time.
Unfortunately for Brian now, he's on sound effect duty in exactly that manner for the rest of the show. That was really good.
So good.
All right, so there's a lot of stuff that's happening that's Florida related.
Oh God.
And a lot of it involves Meatball Ron. Now, there is the story of his Twitter failure of his campaign announcement. So we'll get to that in a minute.
But
the thing that you gotta know is that somehow Rudy is involved. And, who doesn't love a story about Rudy? So how to explain this? One of the guys that Rudy was working with in his attempt to fight all of Ukraine by himself. I don't even know exactly what he
did. No, well, he was there on a specific mission to find dirt on Hunter Biden.
Correct. I don't know why he thought it was there, but that's where he thought it was.
I was going to say, I don't know if you have to go that far, but
so somehow it's the center of hookers and blow, I guess. I don't know. I thought that was Vegas, but sure.
What do I know?
Yeah, right. I'm not Rudy. Rudy knows much more about hookers and blow than I do. We learned over the last week or so that he pounds booze and Viagra all day long while sexually harassing his employees who are now suing him for $10 million. So that's pretty good. Demanding blowjobs, even getting blowjobs, apparently, because, quote, it made him feel like Bill Clinton. So, hooray. Okay,
moving on.
So while he's doing that stuff, Rudy hires these two goons from Ukraine. One of them is called Lev Parnas. And what you need to know about him is that he is currently in federal prison, and that's what he looks like if you're watching on TV.
Yes, he's he looks like a Lev.
Yeah, he looks like a guy named Lev. He also, I think he's Jewish, which is funny because he looks like a ham with like some hair.
He's
but
Jewish?
Not enough hair. I think
know.
so.
Interesting. I mean, that can make sense. I mean, he's Ukrainian, so I mean.
Yeah. So in any case, but he looks like a ham. So he with a giant chin.
Yes.
I don't know how to describe this.
It's very, very difficult to describe this person.
Okay, so here's the thing that you need to know is that Ukrainian businessman Lev Parnas and his business partner, they were arrested in 2019. They were accused by the government of funneling Russian oligarch money into American political campaigns, namely Donald Trump's, but apparently also into Meatball Ron's. Going back to his 2018, I guess that was his governor run.
Yeah, that's when it all fell apart.
Right. So DeSantis and Parnas work closely together, and there's a bunch of these text messages, 63 unreported text messages that Reuters dug up that shows that their relationship was like a lot closer than everybody thought, or even that it existed. I didn't hear anything about.
Yeah, I've never heard this connection between them until I was reading the story.
But apparently, him and Lev were like buddies. And remember, this is Rudy's guy. The texts also reveal that Parnas served as an intermediary between DeSantis and Rudy, who is, I don't know if he's still Trump's lawyer. He was Trump's lawyer.
He cycles them out so frequently.
Right. So in one case, 10 days before the 2018 election, Meatball Ron sent Lev Parnas a text with the suggested wording for Rudy to tweet in support of his candidacy, which that's pretty bad, I think. Parnas, who's now 51, was buddies with DeSantis, apparently. Like, they were just chatting over the text messages.
They said they considered him once a close confidant.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we became very friendly, quote, unquote.
Yeah, and he moved to Florida in 1995, and he worked for penny stock companies and ran up all kinds of federal crimes.
We know why people go to Florida,
right?
Again, as it's been said before, it is a sunny place for shady people.
Yeah, and it's where old people go to die. So that's why Lev was there to take their money while they were getting ready to die, I guess. So yeah, he's in jail, and Meatball Ron is buddies with him. None of that seemed to help, though, because the other thing that happened with Meatball Ron, like yesterday, was that he announced he's running for president, but he did it in the weirdest way possible, and it failed almost as hard as Lev Parnas' expedition to find dirt on Hunter Biden.
Well, he did it on America's new conservative media network.
Yes, Fox News Light without the blonde women, I guess. It's called Twitter Spaces. Now, both you and I, I'm a Twitter user. You're a Twitter user. We're longtime Twitter user.
I once loved this.
This even existed?
I did know this, not through the app. It wasn't. I never saw it fed to me through the app itself, but I did see it, like, obviously through the reporting, but nothing through the app.
Yeah, until this week when they said that this was going to happen, I had no idea Twitter Spaces even existed. And I've been on Twitter since 2009.
They were Spaces, I believe, were introduced maybe before he came on board. They were introduced before that. I feel like then they disappeared for a minute.
Is this the thing that kind of replaced Periscope, maybe?
It kind of, but really, remember on the pandemic, what was a Clubhouse? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Spaces, I felt like, was added to compete with Clubhouse when that came out, because everybody was doing Clubhouse.
And what is Twitter Spaces?
We're basically a form, almost like the way that worked. I would say it's like Skype, but you can basically go into a room and then people are like presenting, and it's like, let's just say there was 10 of us and then we went into a space, someone would be presenting there and we would kind of be there listening as the audience itself.
But there's no visual aspect to this, right?
I do not believe
so. Audio only.
Yeah, completely audio only.
So even though our radio show has long since evolved to include visuals and all of Bryan's amazing graphics.
Yes, lots of great graphics.
Meatball Ron decided the way to announce he was running for president was in an audio only format with Elon Musk.
Well, because you can't trust the mainstream media to get your message across, and the only people who are telling you the truth are here now on Twitter. So it goes, the same from your good buddy Tucker Carlson, Elon Musk, and Ron.
But he didn't do it with Tucker, and he didn't do it with any other sort of like known.
It was the moderator. I forgot the moderator was some businessman. I forgot his name.
Yeah, somebody I've never heard of.
Yeah,
and why is Elon involved except that he owns Twitter? Like, what was his role supposed to be? We know that his role never materialized, by the way, because this thing basically didn't get off the ground.
I heard it had a lot of, like, it started with a lot of people, but no one really checked back in after, like, the failure started happening, the technical failure.
Well, it's not clear that any of them were actual people, right? It might have just been a bunch of bots, and we don't really know. But basically, the thing crashed, and it spent 20 minutes of being crashed, but with live audio of Elon and the other guy.
Like people working in the background.
Yeah, so we got to hear them being bad at computer stuff while we were listening for something to happen. It was totally bizarre. I only was able to like look at a few minutes of it and whatever the newspaper had on the website of it. But I mean, you've done tech support, you've heard tech support. It's not compelling radio. Let's just say.
No, it's very bad.
It's a lot of waiting around and people going, okay, how about now? Okay, how about now?
Yeah.
How about now? And
that's what it was. Restart.
Yeah. So it didn't work, and eventually they like rebooted and did it some other place. And he made this announcement, and then like just today released some ad with footage of Elon playing with flamethrowers and also Meatball Ron in a fan boat saying like what a great announcement it was because it crashed Twitter.
He used obviously like the 50 and up white man's version of breaking the internet. That is not what it means.
That's not what that means. And
that means.
They all were like patting themselves on the back of like, look at how many people tuned in. It melted the servers. It's like, no, that's not what happened.
No, servers were already melting.
Yeah. None of the engineers who could have kept that running still work there. So it does. There's nobody there.
No, it's it is interesting to see the turn on like the traditional. I mean, but not necessarily because he was on Fox later.
Yeah, so that's the thing is that then a few minutes later, he goes and does an interview with Trey Gowdy on Fox.
So,
why didn't he do it then? Like, why did he do that? This doesn't make sense at all.
And also, too, like what I understand to be true, and I think a lot of Twitter users don't understand this, is that it's a very small community,
right?
And like where you need to win, like but in Iowa, like are those people really on Twitter? Is that where you're putting a lot of? I mean, you'd be better off on Truth Social.
People forget, yeah, right. People
forget it wouldn't work there at all.
It wouldn't work there either. People who use Twitter a lot forget that it isn't the world. Because,
yes,
like,
it can feel like that though, because of the connection, and like it can easily feel that way, but it's not. Like,
it's not. And the best case scenario, like 20 million Americans use this or something like that. It's a tiny fraction of.
I heard AM radio is getting ready to go away. He would have a better chance of doing it on an AM radio.
He should have come on Chip Chat. We get more listeners than he does.
And reach, you would have more reach. Evidently, more reach.
Would we allow Meatball Ron to make his presidential announcement on our show?
God, I mean, there's no type of integrity around here, anyways, at this point. So yes, probably.
Okay.
So more. Look who.
I mean, I was solid. Yes, I was waiting for you to equivocate and tell me
no. I was sitting there. I was like, oh, of course we will let it.
Yeah, you're the moral conscience of the
exactly.
show,
No, just threw it out the window right there. I mean, I would like to ask some questions, about Mickey Mouse.
Well, he made sure that nobody could ask any questions, of course, because he's Meatball Ron and he doesn't like answering questions because he's bad at it. He has to write "be likable" on the top of his notepad.
First of all, Despot 101. You don't let these people ask questions. Okay?
No, of course not.
It's the first thing. All right, it's the first thing you don't do. Well, I was one of my good buddies. They live in Florida, and we were like going back and forth the other day. Just like, and again, I could only imagine. He made a good point that it's like, real people live in Florida and are affected by this guy's of what he's trying to do, which is really like, again, Florida of today is America of tomorrow, as I've seen over the last 20 years. It seems very scary of where this can go. But there are just policies in that state that they're just downright mean, first of all, like at a base level. And second of all, it's like he really wants to, like, his approach to like the culture wars, like, is there enough people around the country or in the 6 states that matter, like, to determine the presidential election? We're even saying he gets the nominee, but the things he focuses on, are those bigger than like the economy?
No.
Like, I don't think those issues, they don't move people. They definitely don't move the independent voters that will solidify you and get you a ticket to the White House. I'm very confused by him in general.
And you can see that because in those swing states where those culture war fights through the last several elections, they have gone against Republicans. You see Michigan, Governor Whitmer won pretty easily against people who were like outraged by books or something.
Everybody's.
And like Pennsylvania is another good example where Shapiro absolutely trounced.
Oh God. Yeah.
So like I'm not convinced. I really honestly don't know who is advising these people on these ideas, because they just don't play. It's so obviously bad retail politics, and he's bad at politics in general. He's only good in Florida, where he's got this super majority.
He lets him in. He can do anything. He's the king.
He had to change the law in Florida, as Kiki and Tone talked about on their show a couple of weeks ago, that I had to like clarify. Brian was helping with this, that Florida forbids their politicians from running for other offices while they're still in office, unless they resign, because in theory you should focus on the office that you hold. Well,
right. Glenn Youngkin.
Wednesday.
Glenn Youngkin.
Yesterday. I'd rather him not focus on governing Virginia. Thank you. He's quite bad at it. But like yesterday, or maybe last Wednesday, Meatball Ron signed a law. Guess what it did? It lets him run for president while he's governor, because of course he did.
No, he's a very the only thing is he can't capture, like, Tim Scott he might outperform him. I think I'm
go ahead.
No, I just think he's trying to be like the Trump without baggage, but yet you can't really capture that crowd. And I don't know how you can outdo like Trump at being Trump. I don't know. Like, you can't. You really can't. But you're trying to go after that at that same crowd. But it doesn't. Again, you don't seem to move people. Every time I hear him speak, it's just I'm like, please be quiet.
You don't see like RC Cola mounting an ad campaign attacking Coca-Cola.
Exactly.
Right? They're trying to compete against store brands because they know where they are on the food chain.
The Safeway Select.
Not gonna happen. Yeah, right. Yeah. Safeway brand soda.
25 cents for a long time.
But it was. So speaking of Tim Scott, though, and people who are of the same complexion or complexion of Tim Scott, got a pretty interesting warning this week. What kind of warning did our Black brothers across this country receive?
The I haven't seen this, and I'm a member of the NAACP. But there was an issue. We were issued a warning by the board of directors.
Yes,
a formal travel advisory, like you're going to like Yemen. It was travel advisory comes in direct response to who else but Meatball Ron, his aggressive attempts to erase Black history and restrict diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in Florida schools. The formal
Can you read the notice? Because it's pretty bad. It's like the State Department.
Here it is. Yes, the State Department for Black folk across the country. The formal travel notice states, quote, Florida is openly hostile toward African Americans, people of color, and LGBTQ plus individuals. Before traveling to Florida, please understand that the state of Florida devalues and marginalizes the contributions of and the challenges faced by African Americans and other communities of color. Quote, end quote. And now we're going to get a quote from CEO Derek Johnson. He said, quote, let me be clear, failing to teach an accurate representation of the horrors and inequalities that Black Americans have faced and continue to face is a disservice to students and a dereliction of duty to all.
It's pretty crazy because I don't know if you've seen this, but you've seen the Florida edits of textbooks, the textbook says Rosa Parks was told to move to the back of the bus because she's Black and she refused, and then in the Florida edit it just says Rosa Parks refused to move to the back of the bus, but it doesn't say why that even happened. Some nice lady was sitting on the bus and somebody's like, hey, could you move over? And she's like, no, that's it.
Just insubordination. That's all it is. For the only reason, right? That's what it was. I look here.
Has this ever happened before? Post Jim Crow, has the NAACP ever issued a warning against an entire state?
I don't even think Mississippi has ever had something like this.
Yeah.
When I saw it, it was so jarring to me because also too, this was right after, like I was saying, that said friend who lives in Florida, and he was like, well, no, all this stuff that's going on, and I was like, no, it's a pretty bad place, okay? And then I said this, and I was like, we've just been, and I also where I always go back to is that he's going to destroy Florida's economy as he runs for president. It's very insane that you have a travel ban from the NAACP. Immigrants are fleeing that you need.
Your entire agriculture sector is completely dependent on this. Your largest employer decided not to build
$1 billion. Yeah, Bob Iger came back and said, look here, friends, I'm going to tell you, I'll show you what's up.
Yeah, the mouse is moving to Maryland or whatever.
Yeah, right. It'll be, you know what? They got that Discovery Channel building that's sitting vacant in friggin' Silver Spring. Yeah, go look here. We'll do a bid for that. But no, he's gonna tank. And I thought Republicans cared about the economy.
Well, they care about money, but I'm not sure they really understand. I mean, it is possible that Meatball Ron is no dummy, right? Remember,
he's not.
Yale. He was a JAG lawyer. He's no dummy, but it is possible that a generation of defunding education by Republicans has led them to forget how money works. Yeah, and so they just don't know.
It's just backward. It's hustling backwards at the highest level. I just don't understand it. But again, I have never seen the NAACP flatly come out and be like, yo, travel to, and here goes, I'll even get it. I really enjoy Miami. I really enjoy South Beach. Love it to death. But I told my boys, it's like, nah, I'm not really rocking with that place right now. As much as I enjoy it, I can't. Number one, because what do I really enjoy it for? I enjoy the water, and I heard that there's a seaweed blob that is infested.
Right.
That's so right. I can't even go in the water there. Tie that into, again, y'all seem very hostile towards Black people in this country. Like, it's not like
the closest thing I can think of to like this kind of travel ban was the Nina Simone song "Mississippi Goddamn."
Oh, right. Yeah, there you go.
That was like the closest thing I can imagine.
A band, like they're saying, just if you go there, that's on you. So
yeah, like we don't have helicopters to get you out. We can't save you. Like this is Yemen. This is Sudan. This is
you can't. But again, like it is just not that you think you've gone so far where some things, like, again, this country still has a long way to go for like a variety of things, but a travel ban to the state, it seems that we're in a very, like, we're in a different time right now. And I mean, look, we say all that to say, if you're Black, travel to Florida, it's your own risk,
Yeah.
And just know, I mean, but you should know what's up in Florida anyways as well.
That's why Jimmy Butler's been on fire, right? Is he's trying to get the hell out of Florida.
No, he's
go to Denver at least for a few games.
Exactly right. Just get the games over so I can get out of this crazy place. But
do you I don't know if we can get a picture of the hat. I put this hat in the script, and I don't know if Bryan was able to get the picture of it.
Oh God, yes, this hat. Come on.
I gotta say, I'm a hat guy. This might be one of the dumbest hats I've ever seen in my entire life. This is his campaign slogan. I mean, does he think Florida looks like an F?
Or I was going for like a gun.
It does a little more look like a gun, but like,
this is a bad hat. Okay,
it says "Make America Lowrider Again." That's what it says. What
That's very funny. I mean, look, lowriders. Look, it's more of a Cali thing, I thought, but okay, look.
Hey, if Disney's gonna leave, and they're all like, what's the difference?
This is, I mean, I'm very upset we're about to do this again.
And this early too. We've got a whole extra year of this.
2024, like, yeah, we're not even in it yet, and like between the CNN and their choice to become a propaganda arm, and I don't know. It's
CNN probably got enough time to self-correct before they become that.
But they said early on when they made all those changes, they wanted to play both sides.
I think they're going to learn that it's okay to talk about like fiscal policy on both sides. It's not okay to empower a guy whose foot soldier just was sentenced to 18 years in the federal prison for trying to overthrow the government.
Letting him on live TV letting him do live is a disservice. It's a disservice to everything that's going on here.
Yeah, and I think I think that's absolutely, that was the title of our episode that you were not there for.
Oh, sorry.
Exactly.
I was being fancy. Sorry.
All right. So suffice it to say, don't go to Florida.
Don't go to Florida, guys.
Yeah. So with that being said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break and book our trips to Florida. Because
or not.
And we hear they've got lowriders there. So we're going to go grab a couple and drive them back.
Lowriding meatballs.
Low-riding street balls. Street ball meatball run.
Hey.
When we get back, we're going to talk to our guest who has been very patiently waiting for us in the wings, and then we will come back with the third half of the show. So it's going to be all kinds of crazy stuff. You're listening to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps.
Street balls.
Beard God status. Shout out to all my bearded brethren, from that young stubble to that strong black on black. and that wisdom and experience that you get with that.
Living legend ain't gotta die. Breaking flexing ain't gotta die. Truth is free, I ain't gotta lie. Come get this wisdom, I gotta lie. Salt and pepper, old boy, you season. Fresh for nothing, don't need a reason. She seasoned too, my old babe. Cool and sweet, she sorbet. Always, all day. Been in good hands, all state. Should've been new to forte. Old boy can't come to play games with it. From the everyday use, this last plagiarist. Too great to hate, too authentic to fake. Trailblazing, made my own lane with it. It's seafood sub, the most dangerous. Y'all seafood subs with a drinking chips. I'm a 4-course meal stamp for golden seals with no total deal. I make bank with it. Come bang with it. Y'all show y'all ass, but ain't second shit. I'm way different. Got room to grow, I'm still learning. Y'all cash is ass, I'm still earning. It's all love and I'm serving. 2 decades of drive without swerving. Enjoy your moment. I'm built to last, my folks are spoken. Old man Logan, self-deroning. No master except the ones I'm owning. Grown man flowing, let me learn your focus. You too concerned with the... Look at all that wisdom. Look at all that wisdom. Look at all that wisdom. Oh, you like, yeah, come get something. Look at all that wisdom. Look at all that wisdom. Look at all that wisdom.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and Beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's popping up?
That was from our guest who we were supposed to have a few weeks ago, but we ran into some complications and stuff. But he's going to be back in June. That was, of course, Substantial. That's
shout out to Substantial.
Off his new record. So, or he had like 16 new records so far this year, and
yeah,
it's like May. So, whatever.
Doing
I don't know. What's your new record, Tez?
Where's my new record? I have no motivation. I just sit around and read books. Might be reading our guest's new books.
So speaking of,
he's in the lab. I saw a sample. It's called "Why Did Arsenal Fall?" and it's really deep track. So be on the lookout for that. Maybe it's 24. I know.
The chorus goes city, 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 city.
There you go.
Next year, when I come on this show, I will be in an Arsenal kit that has a Champions League patch on it.
Yeah, that's possibly true.
And not possibly, and we have returned.
Okay, well, we're gonna have soccer talk later, so just hold on there, Haas. If you read the script, you would have known that. But okay, speaking of books, the thing that Tez actually does know about, our next guest, Tyrus Hinton, is a cancer survivor, a pastor, and counselor who has written a bunch of books, all while delivering a message of positivity through transitions. He has a new book called "You've Got That Spark," which just came out, and I haven't managed to get it yet because I've been working it on travel and stuff. But he is on tour talking about his book, and Tyrus joins us now. Welcome to Chip Chat.
Hey, Chip and Tez, how you guys doing tonight? Thank you for having me.
We're very excited to talk to you. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me. It sounds like the conversation you guys have been having has sparked some interest here.
I don't know if it's good or bad, man.
Yeah, we don't know.
We just be DJing to ourselves sometimes.
Oh no, it's been good. It's been good. I love the conversation. I love the ideas and thoughts. I am curious to see what direction our country is headed in 2024.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious and terrified, I think is the right word.
Yeah.
It shouldn't feel like that, right? We shouldn't be terrified.
No.
Right? It shouldn't, like, as a just a regular day person, we should not be terrified of what our country is going to be, no matter who gets elected. It shouldn't be that.
It should be like waiting to find out if the musical guest on Saturday Night Live is going to be good or not, and if they're not, you go get a beer while they're out, and then if they're good, you stay there and watch. That's what it should be.
Yeah, okay. It's feeling like if it's going to take us back to the 30s, or if we're going back to the Roaring 20s, or make America
all bad times.
Florida.
All bad times for folks like us.
Is the NAACP going to have to put out like a time travel warning now too? Of like, don't go back to whatever time they think was great again or something.
Yeah, if whenever you want to go back, it's probably not. It's probably not a good thing. You don't want to go back. Let's move forward.
Let's move forward.
So speaking of moving forward, so the book here is called You've Got That Spark. So I have a question. Of course, I have not gotten a chance to read the book yet because I don't know how to read. But can you tell the people what inspired you to write a book about, I'm guessing, static electricity?
That's cool. I like that, Chip, but that's not quite what that's about.
Okay, what is this book about?
What it is, let me give you a little context to it. So what happens is I am three-dimensional, essentially, all right? So certified property manager, so that's my professional career. Of course, I work on staff at a church. So I'm a staff pastor doing marriage and family counseling. And then the third wing to me is I'm a talk show host. So much like what you guys are doing, just on television networks.
Better.
So
yeah, he's better at it than we are. Is what he's saying.
That's not what I'm saying, Ted. Really?
No, I'm sorry.
I'm enjoying you guys. So with that, I kind of talk about some of the childhood struggles I had to come through to have the courage to do all three of these different things. So, and I kind of share that journey in the book. I give 5 spark keys because not all things are religion. And I know I'm a staff pastor. I'm supposed to be this religious guy all the time, but that's not true. I'm multidimensional. I'm multifaceted. I can't be that one vein all the time. There is a straight corporate side to me that needs a lot of attention. And in the pandemic, what it taught me is there are more people that are struggling with low self-esteem. A lot of times it's been inflicted by our surroundings, whether that's the workplace, the home, or our community. And that stuff has caused me to dig a little bit deeper, talk about my journey that I came through, and then help people to find the spark that's inside of them so that they can go ahead and create their path to do what you guys are doing, radio shows, do television, do talk, all of the new businesses that are coming up now. I want people to do it. But a lot of times, man, our self-esteem is so beat down, in the workplace, in the home, and just from our local community, whatever that community is that we thought so highly of, whether it's a fraternity or a sorority in the ladies' case, that we've joined and we felt like, oh, yeah, this is it. And then we leave more defeated than we do, inspired. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to help people to dig down within and find that spark and get it going. So that's it in a nutshell.
So that kind of brings me to the next question is you do talk about people embracing their inner gifts. So what would you advise people who are less gifted than someone like yourself, for example, us?
Well, but the deal is that no one is less gifted. So that's the thing. I think what happens is sometimes because people are not like us or they don't do the things that we're familiar with, we categorize them. Oh, yeah, they don't have it. They don't have nothing. They don't. But everybody has some kind of spark inside them. Everybody has something they wish they could do. Everybody has something that they dream about doing. Everybody has something that says, if I had $1 million, I would do this. Well, that's a spark. Or if somebody's saying, oh, if I was famous, I would do this. Or when I grow up, I'm going to do this. So there are natural inclinations that for directions for you to go. So I would tell you, hey, listen, what keeps you up at night? If you said to me, hey, Tyrus, I'm not like you. I don't have nothing. Oh, absolutely. What bothers you? What are you concerned about? What things motivate you, or what things disgust you? Because both of them are equally motivated. So if it disgusts you to see people laying on the street, that's going to essentially become a motivator for you to end homelessness. So that's a spark. You see what I'm saying? It wakes up. So the person seems less gifted, Chip, they're not.
So how come we are not famous for this radio show yet? We've been trying for like 8 years.
Well, you've been trying.
Well, yeah,
I just
showing up woefully unprepared for about 2 years now. But like, how come I'm not on XM radio yet? I want to be. I'm embracing my inner gift of wanting to be on the radio. I'm
right,
just
but
not.
Then. So now we have to check those sparks, all right? So I open up the book and I start the introduction talking about the necessity of spark plugs, right? And what they do to an engine. Well, the key component with a spark plug is it's not going to work if it's not connected. And what it is, Chip, is you might just not be connected to the right source just yet, which might be perfect for you in your current setting, especially if you enjoy whatever type of work you're doing. Are you able to pay your bills, work, and give the commitment that's needed to produce a quality show on XM radio 8 hours a day.
Absolutely not. I'm not even capable of producing this low quality show.
Oh,
so
dude.
There's just no way. I mean, yeah, well, so like the getting connected to people is, I think, really the issue, because it is often, that is the thing, right? It's about having those connections, and it's not, people like to say it's not what you know, it's who you know, but that's not always about like getting a leg up. Sometimes it's like Tez and I here, we wouldn't be together if it weren't for these extremely random set of connections that put us where I heard his record, and then because somehow we were able to figure out, or I was able to figure out how to get in touch with him and Drew Dave, like we wouldn't be doing this show together at all. I wouldn't be doing this show if I hadn't, had a chance meeting at a beer festival. So how do we use our sparks to push for those connections that could help advance the spark?
When you say how to use your spark, you're just being yourself, to be honest with you. So I think when we try to create a spark is when we mess up. There is a natural gifting or a natural inclination in all of us. There is a natural spark that's just there. Watching the two of you interact with one another, listening to the conversation, is just a natural vibe. It's a natural spark, which tells me that if you're at a national broadcasters convention, which you just had last week, if you were at that, you would have met somebody. You would have bumped into somebody. You'd have had an elevated conversation with somebody, and you wouldn't have had to make a spark. Your spark would have just been there. It'd have been present. And I think, honestly, if I can say this, Chip, and Tez, honestly, most of my opportunities have not come from me selling. They have just come from my spark touching somebody else's spark, my connection, my spark hitting Chip's spark. It's like, oh shoot, you do this, well I do this, da, da, da. Boom, it's just a natural spark. So while we're doing it on this level now, I can see in 12 months the next level. I can see in 24 months the next level. I can see it because it's in here. There's a drive. Two things that are going to drive your spark, all right? The one thing is going to be the anticipation of it working, correct? Then the next thing going to be is the disappointment of it not working.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That drives me a lot.
Oh, dude, are you kidding me? If I cannot get my car to start, I'm ripping everything from under the hood. Yeah. Well, not now, because the way they make cars now.
Right.
No. But back in the day,
you're hooking up a laptop is what you're doing. Yeah.
Right. Pretty much. I used to drive a 78 Nova, man. And it was.
Oh, yeah. That you can fix.
Oh, yeah, dude. You get underneath. It's like, it's not starting. You get a hammer, you bang the starter a couple of times. Like, okay, that's not it. You mess around with your battery cables, that's not it. But then if you hear it like it wants to turn over, you're like, okay, it's sparking. So I have to figure out what the connection is. It's sparking. And sometimes that disappointment of it not lighting up the first time, dude, that is a driver. It really is.
Of course, if your car doesn't start, you're not driving anywhere. But
yeah.
All right. So you've written a bunch of other books, and they've taken you out on book tours. You're out here on this tour. So what do you enjoy about being on a book tour, and how can we get to go on a book tour? Do we have to write a book, or can we just pretend?
Well, you might want to write a book because folks are going to ask you questions, kind of like what you're asking me right now.
Exactly. All right,
kind of want to make sure you're not BSing them,
Right. Nobody actually reads anymore. They're all just lying about it.
That's a lie.
The person in the world that reads.
Dude, it's funny because every time, so I fly a lot. Every time I'm in the airport, I buy a hard-covered book every single time. I stop by. It doesn't matter. I know I have books, and I'm going to read that book during that flight. I'm going to read it only because I'm like, I got to keep myself in tune. I have to know what's out here. What moves me? Inspiration, motivation, right? The thing I love the most about touring is talking to people. I really, really enjoy hearing people's stories, and that lets me know. It validates the purpose of me writing a book. I hope that makes sense to you.
Yeah, sure.
So my first book was Baby Steps. My wife and I, we lost a kid. He was 2 years old. We lost him to a battle of cancer. So when I'm touring with that book, it's a totally different group I'm talking to. I'm talking to moms and dads who the kids are brand new diagnosed. They're hurting, they're crying. And I just have this calming effect. And I'm like, look, I got 10 steps right here for you. I promise you, if you just do them, They're not medical. It's all mental. If you just do these steps, they'll help you. Man, I cry with people. You know, I let people know I can feel it. Then my second book is Couples in Crisis. No couple wants to admit they're in crisis, but every couple in 2020 went through a crisis. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter sexuality. It doesn't matter any of that. No matter what kind of couple you are, you went through a crisis because we were in a global crisis. We were all.
Yes.
If you're in a relationship with yourself, you are in a global crisis. It was a pandemic, for crying out loud.
I had several crises myself. Yeah, I didn't need. My wife had her own stuff, but yeah, like except for Jair Bolsonaro, apparently he was fine the whole time. He never had.
Of course, it wasn't real.
It wasn't real, and he didn't almost die or anything like that.
Right. Or we could have used bleach to wash it away. But
anyway, chloroquine or whatever
they were selling.
But so that part, man, just kind of connecting with people, and when you hear people's stories, you're like, oh yeah, I wrote this book for a reason. There's a reason why I wrote this book. So you're thinking about the five common crises about money and sex and political views and all of that stuff. It's like, oh yeah, communication, all of those things are crises that every couple face at some point, but we don't talk about it. Now, doesn't mean that you stay in it for a long time, but you deal with it at some point. So I enjoy that part of touring. And Spark, dude, I can't wait to talk to people and wake up that thing that's kind of been sleeping inside for a long time. I think that, again, disappointment, the thing that should be a driver, far too often we allow it to defeat us, man. And I'm like, no, I want to wake that up. I just went through a transition, Chip. You're a little bit aware of it.
Yeah.
As I'll let you know, to take a team through a transition where the leadership on top has lost their jobs. Ooh. The leadership below you, their jobs are threatened, and you know that you're really about to be out. So now I have to encourage the person on top of me, like, hey, no, you got that spark. This is just a part of the change in the career. Don't you let these people get you down. This is a part of it. Here, look, I'm gonna give you this chapter of the book. You need to read this and remind yourself, nope, it's time to plug into a different source now and get refired up. Then I have to tell the old folks, hey, your spark hasn't gone out. It's just a new company. It's gonna look for something different. This is how you got to work towards it. It's like, Tyrus, don't get so messed up in between the two of their situations that your spark just goes completely out and you miss your opportunities. So
here you are taking your opportunity by coming on this show.
Dude, yes.
Wait till you get even more famous. It's going to happen for you.
I have like a few. There's like I could have 1,000 questions. So I'm just trying to like make sure I like almost get the most like pressing ones out like first. Do you find like the process of writing, like, do you find that lonely? And like in this process of writing a book,
like,
what is I always ask that. Just writing in general always seems to me like it feels like a lonely process, but a rewarding process, but still lonely nonetheless. That's one part of it. And then also too, do you feel like what did you learn in the process of writing this book?
Good question.
So is it a lonely process? No. A learning process? Yes. So I do a lot of writing, do a lot of crossing out, I do a lot of balling up, I do a lot of throwing. That's just the truth of the matter.
Right.
All right. I do a lot of that. That process is sometimes painful because when I had to write You Got That Spark, now I had to go and kind of agitate some stuff from when I was younger that I kind of buried. Now I had to dig it up again and figure out, okay, come on, if you're going to help people, you got to really help them. So if you're going to help them, you have to dig up. And so a little painful, that process. I wouldn't say it's really lonely. It may be lonely for some if you don't have a partner or a person to share it with. I have a community of writers. So we all write around the same time. So, that kind of helps. I'll hit up my friend, like, yo, dude, I'm at like chapter 4. I think I'm going to be doing okay. He's like, man, I just finally finished mine. I hope I'm answering that for you, Ted.
So y'all are able then to kind of
support each other.
Again, support each other that way. And another question I had is then you're helping other folks in this case here, like find their spark. like, where do you like almost recharge to have this type of energy, whether it's like you're going out on tour, like to be able to give this out to other people to give? Because I'm sure as well too, like looking through your story, like there probably needs to be times for you to recharge, for you to kind of be able to give out this much emotional energy to people, whether it's through the books, whether it's through touring. Right? How are you able to recharge?
Love it. So I'm recharging 2 ways: the water, and then my workout. And that's no bull. So I'll pick up and go to the beach in no time. Not Florida, but I'll go to the beach.
Not anymore, you're not.
Yeah. As much as I used to love going to Miami, man, I'm like you. I love South Beach.
Why they do this? Why do they do this, man?
Well, they didn't want Tez like standing on the edge of the Keys and looking back and like calling his cousins, be like, "Yo, come on,
look, man! Look, I'm a black Cuban, man. I'm different than the other ones.
Oh, that's
look, the other ones down there a little different, man. My white Cuban brothers and sisters a little they be tripping a little bit.
Yo, they be tripping, man.
They keep tripping out here. So hard, very hard. Yeah,
yes.
And it's not just the Florida bath salts tripping. Like these people are crazy, dangerous.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the water is a recharger for me. I went last weekend. I just went and spent 2 days at the beach. Just kind of sometimes I always get a front face. We stay at the same place every time, so I kind of get a front beach facing room where we can sit on the balcony and I can just sit there and be quiet. The benefit that I have that some men don't have is my wife is super chill. She's in the same industry that I just left. So she's super busy, so she can unwind. While we're at the beach, she ain't trying to do a whole lot. She wants to go to the spa and like, Tyrus, leave me alone. I'm like, got it. It works.
You just like go stand at the edge and let the waves like wash over you or whatever.
It works. Just there. And then in the gym, over the last year and a half, I started working out at a heated, like a sauna. So it's 130-degree temperature.
Shit.
And you can do 15-minute sessions, right? It's just only 15-minute sessions, and I can spin. So I'll spin, or I'll go and I'll do the rower, or then I'll go and I'll do the elliptical, all in these little sauna boxes.
Ugh.
For real, legit.
That sounds awful. You know where you live, it's pretty hot, right? You can just go outside and run around in the 130-degree weather.
Yeah, you could, but I'm by myself. I'm in there. And honestly, I throw on some usually Dominican music, and I don't know what they're saying. It doesn't matter what they're saying. I'm moving to the beat, and I'm just letting everything just kind of drench away.
So it's sort of similar to the beach thing then. Because, it's a bit of like by yourself and that rhythmic sound of the waves, the rhythmic sound of the music, and you're doing something that's sort of like singly focused isolation.
Yeah, and that's not. I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm being honest with you. I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm not trying to be buff. I'm not trying to build up. It just gives me peace, and I recharge. Yeah, I recharge, man. The industry. Property management is stressful.
It is.
It's like babysitting adults. It's stressful. Babysitting the adults you work with, and babysitting the adults that live there. It's just, and then babysitting vendors. It's just a bunch of babysitting. So you had to have something to offset that. And then if you're trying to be anyone halfway more than that, it takes that much more. So you are respected, Chip, for
Oh man, it's eating me alive, but I don't know how to do much else. So, all right, let me ask you, where are you going on tour next? So that if people are, they want to know if you're coming to their city, so they can come catch your book tour. And then, since we know it's not going to be Florida, we have prepared a special Florida or not section for you. So go ahead and tell people where you're going on tour, and then we'll have you play the game.
See, now, why do you make this so hard for me? Why I got to tell my secrets right now? No, I'm just joking. So I'm going to Spartanburg, South Carolina. Then I'll go down to Atlanta.
Nice.
Then I will fly up to New York.
Okay.
Out to Missouri, where my TV show is in Branson, Missouri. And then I have to go to Arkansas. Arkansas, I'm kind of hoping I can set something like this up. They're having some trouble there right now. A little bit of unrest. And I don't necessarily want to go, to be honest with you. So if I can set up, some kind of
virtual tour
with them, I would love that. But people want you because they want to hold your book, they want to feel the book, they want to
get it signed,
and you got to sign. So I don't know.
So
but
are you going to put us on your TV show? Because we're pretty good.
Here it goes. Here it is.
Why not? Listen, why not? Why not?
Hey, we're pretty good at it.
It's funny you say that, Chip. Seriously. So this next recording that I do, usually I go to Atlanta and I stay there for 4 or 5 days, and I just record show after show after show so that I'm good for 2 months, right? So I'm recording, period. Those shows are sent out to all of the networks that they go to. But I told one of my producers, I said, hey, man, this next stretch in 2024, I want to go around and take my show on the road, and you can still produce it and send it, and we'll air it out. It needs to be aired. So there's some hope to what you're saying there, right there, my friend.
Well, we've got a studio in suburban DC. If you want to, truck it up to College Park, Maryland, we can make that happen.
Hey, I lived in Greenbelt, so
that's where it is. You're right. That is exactly where it is.
Not even really College Park. Yeah, it's on Greenbelt Road.
Yeah.
Wow.
You might know the building even.
I lived on Cherrywood Lane, right there.
Yeah.
And those
you can walk there.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is in Greenbelt.
Wow, this is wild. Life is full circle, I tell you.
All right, so we're going to get you on the show in person, or we're going to get on your show in person, because, of course, now I'm going to warn you, if you put me on your show, there's a good chance it gets, super famous super fast.
Let's go. Let's go.
So I have that effect.
Go.
It's called the Chip Chat bump. Okay.
Oh, God.
136,000 views. Can't be wrong.
Let's go.
Yeah, see? Tez is such a hater.
I'm not a hater. I am not a hater. I just find that your shamelessness on this sometimes.
I love it.
It's just insane.
I think what you're worried about is that it eventually works one day.
It is. Yeah. I mean, no. It's like you shoot it at a high clip. I'll say.
Oh yeah.
They're not. Every time he's asking.
Wait till we're back in studio next week. I've got something to show you. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to play this game called Florida or Not. And the way this works is we're going to read
Florida or Not.
There you go. We're going to read you this news story with the locational details removed. And you have to determine if this took place in Florida or not in Florida.
Okay.
It sounds easy, right? Are you ready?
I'm ready, I think.
Okay. The police department arrested a man on Saturday night who was allegedly driving while intoxicated and got lost. When approached by police, officers said the man tried to switch places with his dog, who was in the passenger seat. Police said the incident started around 11:30 p.m. near 7th and Main in this town, and the driver was allegedly caught speeding at 52 miles an hour in a 30. The police stopped the driver and approached. The officer said he then watched the driver try to switch places with his dog, who was in the passenger seat. Police said the man got out of the passenger side of the vehicle and claimed he was not driving. The officer said the man showed clear signs of intoxication. When they asked him about how much alcohol he consumed, the man ran. The police said that the man was apprehended less than 20 yards away. So he must have been pretty drunk. During the investigation, police learned that the man was driving and got lost. The sheriff's office was called to help with the investigation. The man has 2 active warrants for his arrest out for some other stuff. Once he was medically cleared, the police said he was booked at the county jail. He was also charged with driving under the influence of drugs and alcohol while driving while impaired, and driving under suspension, speeding, and resisting arrest, of course, because, he ran. Okay, so did this happen in Florida or not in Florida?
No, I remember that story. That wasn't in Florida.
Oh, okay. Where was it?
Was it in California?
Oh, it's close enough. Denver, Colorado.
It was Colorado. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that wasn't in Florida. I knew that.
Okay, well, ding, 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 ding. You won. Congratulations.
What did I win?
Rare.
Yeah, of course, that's a big question.
You win to get, I don't know, being back on this show, I guess.
Okay, hey, I'll take it.
Nobody ever wins. We're not prepared for that. Nobody ever gets this right.
When I
noticed that on another, huh?
No, I said when I heard this story, I thought this was the Speaker of the House in Texas.
Oh no, but that was also pretty funny. I watched that video. I'm not. He seemed like okay, I think, you know how sometimes we drink beer while we do this show?
Yeah.
But we're still able to talk about complicated things and we're funny. I think that's what he's like. he was drunk, but he was good at it. So he's like,
okay.
You know, the motion carries is laid upon the table. Bang. You know, like he can still can't really enunciate as clearly as he needs to, but he definitely knows what he's saying.
All right. I'll give you that. I don't know.
He can do drunk radio. He can definitely do drunk speaker in Texas. How much actual lawmaking is going on in Texas anyway?
Yeah, they do. They only dismantle laws. Right?
Yeah,
right.
They go like, all right, we're going to ban women. Who's in favor? Aye.
Right.
Give me a beer. All right. Who wants to ban reading? Aye. Another beer for everybody. You know.
Who wants to ban guns? Whoa!
Whoa! That's when we kind of sober up a little bit right there.
Yeah.
What did he say?
Right.
I don't know, Haas. That's getting a little out there.
Right.
But the Texas House actually their investigation committee into Ken Paxton, like they started like having these hearings about this investigation that they were doing in secret that nobody like even knew they were doing. It's bad, dude. Ken Paxton is going to jail. He's like already facing several federal indictments. He is in big trouble. You know, they say everything's bigger in Texas, and especially trouble for your attorney general.
Yeah, for sure.
He is looking at it. So also probably don't go to Texas. I think that's pretty safe to say.
Yes, not on the stop yet.
Yeah, look, ways to go, man. Look, ways to go.
We need like a new green book of like.
It does feel. I mean, it feels like that, you know. Okay. But it might as well be the whole country at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I only feel safe in like Rockville, Maryland at this point. It's like the only place I can go. It's like outside of my neighborhood.
Look, even there, they can keep that too.
Rockville. Ooh.
They've had some troubles coming out of Montgomery College a few times, you know.
Yeah, it's true. But in general, what's the biggest threat in Rockville? Traffic. That's what it is.
The problem: too much money goes into police force. Too much when you can send 7 cars for making a left turn when you're not supposed to. But
Moco cops, they need to justify their existence, obviously.
Another story for another day.
That's a whole other topic. All right, Tyrus. Right. So where can everybody catch you on your next stop? And where can everybody get the book so that they can, go buy the book and be ready, to have you sign it?
Sure. So let's go to Amazon to grab the book. You can look for You Got That Spark, or you can just look for Tyrus Hinton and all 3 of those books to show up. My next stop again, that's going to be in Spartanburg, South Carolina.
I will be the BMWs.
Yeah. Yep. I'll be actually on a show called A Time for Hope. Okay. It'll be recorded right there in the studio, and it will air on the Word Network. Then again, I'm going down to Atlanta. I'll be on what is the name of it? Atlanta Live, WATC TV 57.
So there you go.
I'll be with them. And I usually do their Wednesday night live show, and then I'll stay and do some recording as well. Then I'll be on Friends and Neighbors. I'll record a few shows for a few networks while I'm there in Atlanta. So, but if they hop on my Instagram, Facebook, anywhere, you'll be able to catch where I'm going next. I always post where I'm at, usually when I'm traveling as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, we appreciate it. We know you got important stuff to do, and it is a school night and all that kind of good stuff.
Great conversation.
We really appreciate you coming by, and I can't wait to get the book. I'm going to actually read this one since I don't, hardly ever read anything. But
is there an audio book?
Is there an audio book? Because that's how I'll actually read it.
Well, Chip and Tez, that's a different income bracket. So let me get through that. Let me let a few people read it first.
I like to read.
Let's
I like
record me reading it, and then to see if it works. How about that?
The only way to record you reading it is for you to learn how to read.
That's the only way I'm going to read it is if there's a way that I can do it and get famous.
Of course,
you guys are hilarious.
More shamelessness because you can't. More shamelessness is entered. Shamelessness has entered the chat. It is.
Yes.
It's the new guest on the show. It's insane. He doesn't let up. I apologize on behalf of the namesake of this show.
All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have the third half of the show. Tyrus, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you for
here on Chip Chat. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Shameless.
I remember way back in the days. I remember way back in the days.
Do you remember? Take it all back from before this fall. Do you remember? Yeah. Listen. Never aim to be a caricature. Always working on my character, bruh. People say they want the real, and I'm here still. But where is the love? Put on for PG4. I heard somebody rep where I'm from. Worldwide, I get it done before I overdo it. Share my soul, but I don't wanna lose it. Wasn't put here for your amusement. You gon' respect the man more than you respect the music. From where your safety is determined by your address. I'm lived long enough to be legends and gain some assets. Though it's rugged where we struggle through the madness. Always knew we had more to offer, although we had less. Through it all, it was always me and my mother. My sisters, 4 they moved out, and occasionally my brother. The homies and the radio that stayed on 1580. TV on the box locked, hoping one day that they play me non-stop, son. Back when me rapping wasn't this lucrative and hot once. Wasn't a show that they interview you with. Hostile, no poetic justice, only punitive. Cops was fucking with us daily. We weren't doing shit regardless. Treat you like a felon though. Trying to sell my demo, so I kinda was selling dope. Was more addictive than the music. Acceptance. So we learned to turn our curses into blessings. Funny, our souls are fed. We stop artists, no matter the road ahead. We make progress if you know. A little flavor for your soul. Keep on. I write like a won't be read. To be honest, lift it up before I rest my head. It's not as promise if you know. A little flavor for your soul. Enjoy.
A little kid from Fort Washington was always a Robinson Mall playing basketball in my David Robinsons. I moved to PG County when I was 5 or something, was rhyming something, but wasn't that biggie. Like that for style.
To Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. Jamming out with me is Tez.
Yo, what's poppin'?
That was a good one.
Really good track.
Yeah, I like the line about trying to sell my demo, so I guess I was selling dope. That's a really
good line. When I heard it, I was like, that's good.
Yeah, that was kind of hit. All right, so now we've got a new segment. This is called Stupid Republican Tricks. A couple weeks ago, while Tess was gone, Patrick and I did the show, and one of the things that we talked about is like Trump is going to get sued again for what he said about E. Jean Carroll live on television in front of everybody on CNN. And that has come to pass. Yes, she has sent in an amendment to the lawsuit, and he's getting sued again. But he was also in the court, not in there, not physically, but he was on a video link to the court in the Stormy Daniels case, which is going forward in New York. And he was on this like video feed. And the judge is like, this is when the things are going to happen. It's going to be in March. And he like went, and he like flipped out, and started like crossing his arms and like jumping around on the screen. And then the judge was like, and you can't talk about these things, just these certain things on anywhere, social media or whatnot. And he like started throwing like a tantrum. It looked like a little kid.
He is a child. I mean,
it was really funny, but also like he's still a candidate and the leading candidate.
He's
for
the leading candidate for the Republican Party.
So that's great. I think we should encourage that because it means that they're not going to win. So then he, like, after the judge told him like not to do things on social media, he immediately got on his fake social media and started threatening the judge and the DA. And so like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, you also heard his lawyers reached out to the DOJ because they know the hammer's coming down real soon on the documents case.
Yeah.
That documents case is coming.
Well, and there was breaking stuff on that actually tonight, which said that he had his staff like do a dress rehearsal for how to move the boxes around should the feds show up and look for them. He was like, if you hear this sound, move them over here. And then if you hear that sound, move them over here.
I say avocado.
Right. Yeah.
Go into the
we love it. Everybody loves the avocado, not the toast. Can't have it on the toast, just the avocado. Because you don't want to have too much avocado on your toast. Yeah. That's exactly. I guess.
This guy, how many criminal cases will he have? How many will we have?
So he's got Fonnie Willis going after him in Georgia. He's got Alvin Bragg in New York. He's got Smith, who's got 2 investigations going at the federal level. So he's looking at 4 criminal indictments. He's already lost a civil case regarding E. Jean Carroll. He's about to lose another civil case regarding her. And I think this thing that happened with Stuart Rhodes is going to factor in fairly heavily.
Years.
He got 18 years in federal pound me in the ass prison. And there's no way that the DOJ doesn't see this as a signal that there is a there. And I think that you're going to get some people who turn state's evidence as a result of this, who are going to help put some more of these guys away, including probably your cousin, unless he turns states on this.
Oh, he's snitching. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
I'll put my life on that one. Yeah.
But I think he's
been there. He's been out there already talking about,
yeah, he
Trump
has. Well, they all said Trump did it, but I think the thing I think what could happen is Stone might flip. And if Stone flips and starts talking,
because he's the connection point to all. He's the one was actually the puppeteer of, like, I don't even know what you want to call them, like the militia, I guess.
He's the bag man. So like if the Oath Keepers start talking and they'd be like, who was funding this and where are you getting the directions from? If it comes back that it's Stone and they've got that dead to right, then the pressure goes on Stone of, like, either you're going to prison or you got to put the finger on Trump. And I think Roger Stone is as trustworthy as the Nixon tattoo on his back. And he's just going to be like, yeah, fucking the orange guy told me to do it. And he's just going to sell him out immediately. So
what a banana republic we live in.
Right? Pretty funny. But not as funny as these other stupid Republican tricks. Check this out. Oregon. Okay, so we mentioned that Oregon can't self-govern. Oregon has this rule in their state legislature that says that if you have more than a certain number of unexcused absences, the penalty for that is you're not eligible to run again. So
seems fair,
Seems fair. It's actually a pretty good rule. It means it's like you should focus on your job. If fighting Joe Morrissey can be a Congress or a state senator from jail, which he was and was good at it, I guess, then yeah, definitely you should have to, like, show up to work. So the Republicans, as we went over before, are basically just not showing up to stop these laws from coming up for a vote because they're going to lose. And so they're just, like, boycotting the legislature to prohibit a quorum from being formed, and so therefore they can't vote. And I think, what are we up to now? I think let's see, 6 additional Republican senators have now been disqualified. So they're up. I think they've only got like 4 left. Only three of the state's Republican senators are left to run for re-election at the end of their term so far, and they might get themselves nixed too. So, like, I don't know how does this work?
I mean, it goes back to no one seems interested in governing. Everybody seems interested in being obstructionist to the whole process. Yeah, I feel like it's a good point. We should be specific there. It's the problem with a 2-party system is when one goes completely AWOL, like your whole thing falls apart. I mean, isn't this just a disservice to the voters?
I think it is.
Because let's just say, like,
how do you serve your constituency if you're not in government?
And let's just say on the offhand chance that one of these Republicans actually did something, or maybe just even for their constituents, they perceive the things they do as good for them. Right. And maybe you would want them to run again. They've now disbarred themselves from running because they want to play obstructionist. Again, they don't want to play by the rules to go in to have a vote. Because again, this is what we're supposed to say, like, right? We vote for something and then it passes or it fails. Y'all are using this technicality, which we've seen before. I mean, this isn't a new thing.
Yeah, to be fair, there have been Democrats who have done the similar thing where, like, the Texas Democrats fled the state and hid in DC for a while. But what I do, the other question I have is, like, could this flip some seats, right? Because I don't know the numbers, but you would think, right? There's a possibility because hardly anybody votes in these elections and these local government elections,
right?
And what if I would imagine they're mostly from, like, safe Republican districts, So it would be another Republican who would take their place. So it might not be a net difference, but there might be enough people who are sort of disgusted by this who just stay home. And what if it flips a few districts? What are they going to think about that now? It's like this tactic bought us 6 months of time until the next election, and then they just pass the stuff anyway.
I'm always very concerned that people run for office to get elected to then immediately try to run for office again. These folks ain't even doing that.
No.
It's usually that's what people, they don't run to like govern, they run to get reelected.
I don't know what their plan is for like the next week. What are they going to do when they run out of guys?
It seems like there's no plan in any of these. Like, I don't know. There needs to be another party in this country very fast. Like, somehow, I know it's going to be so difficult to do, but there needs to be something that can offset this. Like, you need then the two-party system it doesn't work anymore because, again, there's a side that is like, yo, the rules that we didn't set and have been set for a long time,
we're not going to play by.
We're not going to play by this. We're just not doing it.
You know what it reminds me of? It's like when you've got one of these like really protracted games and you've run out of pitchers and you have to make like,
oh my God, yes,
Miggy Cabrera pitch or whatever, and like, what are we doing here? They're out of senators? They have to use like some spare county clerks or something like
exactly,
that.
Right.
What's the Oregon Republican bullpen?
The controller becomes that's the new look. I don't know.
So that's pretty stupid.
We're going further.
But it's not the stupidest thing. This week, in the middle of the debt ceiling debate, I'm going to read you this article from Politico because there's just no other way to do this.
It's very foolish.
House Republicans are bidding for steep spending cuts in exchange for raising the debt ceiling. Mm-hmm. First, though, they've paused during their private weekly meeting on Tuesday to bid for something else. Speaker Dumb Kevin McCarthy's used chapstick. Okay, pause. That's very stupid. Don't worry, though. It's about to get even stupider. Hold on to your butts. The fundraising auction of McCarthy's used cherry lip balm ended when none other than Representative MTG of Georgia now divorced MTG, placed a winning bid of $100,000 for this chapstick. She only began bidding after the California Republican chose to sweeten the deal. He agreed to attend a dinner with the winner and whichever donors and supporters they plan to bring along. And the cash is headed for the House GOP campaign arm. So I don't know whose money this is. Maybe it was Milo with her stolen credit card again or something. But like, this is okay. This is pretty stupid. Don't worry. None other than Ilhan Omar has the best way to describe this. They're in the middle of this. Democrats greeted the McCarthy chapstick auction, which was first reported by Politico, with barely masked alarm. Quote, they are doing this insane chapstick shit while the country teeters on default. Wild. That's a direct quote from Ilhan Omar.
I would have said this. I feel like that would be me as a congressperson.
Yeah. Like, what? Chapstick? And where did MTG get the money from?
I was gonna ask that as well too. Like, I feel like this screams of like some type of law breaking. I don't know.
Maybe it's her campaign donating the money. Is that it?
Maybe
she's got like a big war chest.
Yeah, she has. I'm pretty sure she has a big war chest.
Yeah, so maybe this is how they're allowed to do this. Of like, because they can donate to each other. They can't donate to each other. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
I mean, what's ethics at this point?
Yeah, who cares?
Harlan Crow and
FEC, whatever.
Yeah,
they don't do shit. Speaking of Republican women who definitely aren't worth thinking about, sad news for her husband, but happy news for Bryan. Bobo is getting divorced.
Hello.
So, hey, Bryan, how are you feeling about getting a chance with your favorite Remington Barbie?
Actually, surprisingly enough, normally I don't do this. No, normally I don't do this, but I scrolled through this crazy new Republican Find Love app.
Be careful. Be careful.
And I true. I mean, mind you, I was thinking, for a bit, it's like, is there a way for people of opposing sides can try to build a bridge again in a fence of romance and stuff. So surprisingly, it popped up. Lauren's profile popped up, and here's what it stated. So it stated Lauren B. She's 36 from Colorado.
Grandma.
She's a grandma. She has 4 kids. She didn't mention that, but she had to hide that because of the fact that, one, she says, I'm a small business woman with a Glock 9 of loving waiting for you.
Oh,
she also said she wanted to be open. She said she was open. She said she did an adult movie with Tommy Lauren. I'm not sure if anyone saw it. And lastly, she's a fully faithful member of the Church of MAGA. So that's the one's kind of freaking me out. But I may swipe right on her.
Did you swipe right? She swiped right on you, of course.
Dating. She's right now in the save profile. I mean, the outfit she's got going on looks pretty cute. So we'll see.
I mean, I think we know she's into white guys, so you're probably in great shape.
Of course. So and mind you, I've been watching a lot of 80s shows and movies. I've always gotten into that gun violence stuff. I always thought of myself as being like Mel Gibson or something like that. So I think we can hit it off some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, Mel Gibson. That's exactly right. I think that I wonder also, like, if you were watching stuff from the 80s, she wasn't alive then. Like, how would she even, what would
you trust me. I mean, someone's with all that gun loving she's got going on, trust and believe, I think she'll enjoy some of the retro stuff in the 80s. She thought it was like, damn, that was my time. That was my spot.
I'll be honest. I'd be like, one of the shows I really enjoy, Gunsmoke.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite shows.
Well, the radio version.
Radio
broadcast. Shout out to WAMU.
Yeah, Kitty.
All right, Bryan. I don't know, Mr. Dillon. Yeah. All right, Bryan. Last question about Boebert. Where would you take her on your first date?
The gun range.
Of course.
Of course.
Where would you go? Though?
Is there like a Top Golf for guns?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
plenty. There's plenty.
Do they sell beer there? That would be a really bad idea.
That would be definitely a bad idea.
Your gun's too loud.
Yeah, right. What'd you say to me?
It would be insane. 2 beers and people, there'll be mass murder at these places. 2 beers in.
Yes. Now that would be the massive headline right there.
That would be insane.
All right. So speaking of Republicans, let's take a dip down south to talk about reading. And
yes,
I'm assuming this is.
I can't read. I'm white. So bye.
Yeah, right. I'm not a reader myself, so I'm assuming that this is your purview there, Tez. But what is going on with some of those Gulf states?
Yeah, I saw this story, and you always are attacking these places.
Yes,
can't read, and so I had to throw.
Did you put this on the doc specifically to try to teach me a lesson?
Exactly, or no, to say just to show that literacy is on the climb in certain places. In some of those places,
did they just lower the standards?
No, I don't.
No, okay, this is actually a happy story.
This is actually a happy story. Yes. There were places, specifically like Mississippi and Louisiana and Alabama, who were never necessarily looked at as like the model places for literacy in this country.
No.
And that is actually changing. And I think this is more so of something I've even had to start wrapping my head around, of the way we talk about the South and how the South kind of gets attacked in a sense, which rightfully so. A lot of things like,
I read a bunch of Southern history textbooks. They talk a lot about the South being attacked for no good reason.
Yes, but so I get
there was a war about it.
Yeah. There was a whole war about that.
Northern aggression.
But Yes. So Mississippi.
I like to add something.
Okay. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No,
Lauren Bober just sent him a message.
You interrupted me. I recently found out that if you go to the Marine Memorial in Roslyn, Virginia.
Yeah.
Okay. A friend of mine mentioned that he went up close, and I think it was like the first time he went up close to it and saw all the battles that the Marines were involved in. And instead of the one that stood out was the Civil War.
Yes.
But it didn't say Civil War.
What does it say?
It says the war between the states.
The war between the states. Yes.
Oh, I hate this. Yeah, it's just between that and slavery was so long ago. Those are the two things that are going to make me just lose my mind in this damn place.
Continue on.
Oh God, oh man, you got me all worked up. We had a good story, now I'm all worked up.
All right, so the good story is
great story. Mississippi went from being ranked like the second worst state in 2013 for fourth grade reading to 21st in 2022.
Yeah, and I think they did it by like changing the rules about whether kids could pass or not, right?
Yes,
so they have to be able to read to pass third grade,
which I think is like, and some people might. I feel like people have scoffed at that, but I feel like that's not a crazy thing.
No,
I think,
it's not.
No, we need people, even if it takes others longer, we need people who are literate, like just for our, like, again, I bring it back to the economy, like just for the economy to go.
We need literate workers.
You need literate workers. That is a strong sign of a society when people know how to read. And I do think this country is kind of taking I mean, we used to be it when it came to education, and like that used to be a huge focus for us.
Right, of course.
It doesn't. I mean, we could all go blame Betsy DeVos, but I mean, it's not just her fault. It's been going on for a while. But I mean, I felt really happy reading this story. And
do these same rules apply? Because like I know that Louisiana has a massive amount of these charter schools. Do they still have to meet some of these standards, or were they included in these surveys, or are they not included in
That's actually a good question, though. I'm wondering if, because even I don't know the laws across the country.
Because I would figure if that was the case, it would actually skew the numbers up, right? Because the charter schools
the charters might be able to, and the charter schools might be able, depending on how their laws are, to be able to skirt some of these.
They can lie about it, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but the end all being is that there was a drastic. I mean, second to last to 21st. I mean, I feel like it's
a
jump.
rapid increase.
Yeah, in 10 years. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's like that. Those are actually like decent numbers and like productive.
Is it possible the rest of the country got dumber?
Look, I'm not gonna hold you on that one. That might be.
I mean, it's a question. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't in the article.
And I also think as well, too, like another piece of this that was interesting is that the state requires every K through third grade teacher, elementary principal, and assistant principal to take a 55-hour training course in the science of reading.
Right.
Like, music to my ears. I've never heard anything bad. I've never heard it. Yeah, because
why were they not required to do that before?
Yeah, but even then you think about, like, I think about someone like Ron DeSantis who wants to go in and like everybody has a hyper focus on like the Department of Education and using that to replicate what he's done in his deplorable state that he has right now that can't keep anybody. But these are the type of things that probably should be getting pushed out, that like as on a national level, be like, all right, I'm pretty sure there's scientists that go through and say, all right, we know kids read better doing X, Y, and Z. Like the phonics has been right, because we know kids can memorize a lot of stuff and they can look, but like sounding out words, right? That's kind of what we found to be helpful for kids to learn how to read. Like, why isn't it something that we push out on a national scale, that a model that everybody can like follow?
Well, this is a classic example of the laboratories of democracy, right? That you've got the states who are trying things that are a little more nimble, and then it could be adopted nationwide. Unfortunately, of course, our system is not set up. There is no such thing as a national curriculum. There's no standards for any of these things.
Well, it's not even in the Constitution about public education. Like that's not something this place has never said that we're here to educate everybody. Like that has never been the
provide for the common defense and commonwealth thereof. Maybe you can make the argument, but it's so when you hear people talk about like, oh well, this Common Core, the Department of Education's pushing this. They can't. There isn't.
They can't do that.
That doesn't exist. But maybe there should be some sort of widespread adoption of some of these methods.
Introduce a model and then let people choose if they want. Like, this is just what we think works. Like,
this seems to be working. We've taken a worst case scenario and made it a middling case scenario. So that's very good. I think the other question is, like, maybe grade levels stop being the thing, because that encourages social promotion based on age and instead of based on ability. And maybe we should
no.
Here it comes. Yes.
No.
Brian doesn't want the kids to read, because then
I want the kids to read.
They won't get free Metro cards or whatever.
I knew you were going to tie it into Metro. I don't know how.
I want them to read, but I disagree with the fact of stopping grading. I really think
I don't mean stopping grading like A's and B's. I mean, like, maybe you're not in third grade based on your age. Maybe you're in third grade based on your test scores or something like that.
No, I think age appropriate is understandable. I mean, I've seen fifth graders who are 13 years old. It makes no sense. I mean,
so we shouldn't hold people back even if they can't read.
Yeah, I mean, but still, it's the simple fact is, I'm not saying to either hey, keep them moving. I'm just saying the simple fact is, like, we have to somehow encourage, in addition to sort of like, get these kids, especially those who are struggling. Let's put it this way. Let's focus on the struggling ones, as because those are the ones that are always held back, regardless of, how much effort they put into it. Get them moving along in a sense to where, they still remain in the same class, grade class as their other, classmates. It doesn't make sense to keep them, pushing them back behind, even though they can probably still do the work, but I just feels like holding them back and not really moving them along in a very encouraging way doesn't make sense to me.
Isn't that specifically what Mississippi and these states are doing, though? They're saying you can't advance past the
threatening of, wasn't there a time, though, where you was like, that was a stigma. It was like, yo, I'm not about to get held.
I don't want to get held back. I don't
want to get held back. You don't want summer school. You don't want to go through all that mess. Yeah,
that's a hell of a motivator. What did we just learn from our last?
Yeah, that's their spark, man.
That's the disappointment, man, of being held back. And I'm with you.
Brian wants to take the spark away from.
I think, but no,
the spark in the Metro card. There you go.
Yeah, he definitely is taking your Metro card. He wants to give you one, actually. But I do get that point where you're like, all right, you don't want to just hold people back and like right.
But if we didn't have grade levels like as your understanding of, but if people just sort of went through school based on
what we're all saying is school needs to be reimagined.
It needs to be reimagined. Yeah,
in like 1,000 different ways.
It should maybe look a little more like guided independent study, where like there's certain standards that have to get met, and then there's educators around to help the kids reach those standards, but they reach them at the pace that suits them best, and that it like moves them on so that we do create the workforce that we do need in this country, which is more well-educated, more well-rounded, with more
critical thinkers,
more critical thinking. All of that's because it got to defeat the ChatGPT, man. Can't be drinking beer out of a fire column or whatever.
I'm telling you, that thing, it's moving. At this point, I almost have to like embrace this type of stuff, even though I've been very cautious. I haven't used it. The most I've used it, I played around with it on Expedia one time. But other than that, I refuse to give it this type of information.
Yeah, I think if you play with it, you're just making it smarter.
Yeah. And smarter about you specifically.
Yeah, don't tune the AI. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But the Pizza Hug commercial or whatever, pepperoni hug spot. That was really fun.
That was good. That was good. No.
All right. Before we get out of here, it's time for sports. So before we get into American football, we are coming up on the final week of Premier League, where all the games happen on Sunday at 11:30, so that nobody can cheat and bet on something knowing the outcome of whatever. And blah,
except
blah,
for
blah.
one game's done.
Yeah, right. It's a game that didn't matter.
They were drunk and they still friggin' finished.
Yeah, they played too dry. Shout out to Brighton Hove who managed to pull a draw with City.
Against a drunken team.
A drunken B team.
If that Pep was like, yeah, surprising. We drank everything in Manchester.
Right.
His exact quotes.
Go on out there, boys. Have fun.
Insane.
You don't even have to run for 90 minutes. You can just sort of pass the ball forward or whatever.
Jesus Christ, I can't.
All right, but anyway, while you are safely going on to Europe, we are on the absolute precipice of disaster. So
this looks real bad.
It comes down to a couple of key things that have to happen for Everton. Now, if we beat Bournemouth, we're good.
Yeah, you're good.
Which is a very distinct possibility. Bournemouth is not that good, and we could do it. And we're motivated. They're not. It doesn't matter. This game does not matter to Bournemouth one iota. So it doesn't move them up. It doesn't move them down. It doesn't change whether they're going anywhere. It's a nothing game for them. The other things that need to happen is, as happened last week, I have to depend on West Ham. And I really don't like needing the Hammers to be the team that I need in my back pocket. They're just not a reliable team, like for anything.
Like the bubbles, they might pop.
Yeah. So if Hammers beats Leicester or even pulls a draw with Leicester, then we're good, no matter what happens. But it's a nerve-wracking weekend for me.
I'm very glad that I don't have to. You guys can
say whatever you're about to say.
You guys
in other words, yet.
You can laugh about me and my squad not making it, winning the league, but getting put out of Premier League football, don't even know what that feels like. Not even something ever been on my radar.
Evertonians don't know what that feels like either. There's nobody alive who can remember when that happened.
Exactly. That's still.
But it could happen to you too. So but for the grace of God, go you. So don't be laughing too hard at us.
No.
Yet.
No.
Just remember.
I believe Everton.
We have the star boy Saka that never will allow this to happen.
Until they sell him for big pile of money.
Big money, big payday.
Chelsea will come by with the new ownership and be like, "Yo,
they're bums."
Right. But if they've got money,
that ownership doesn't know. That ownership doesn't know what the hell they're doing. The toilet
ownership.
They don't know. They clearly don't know what they're doing.
Because the Putin guy does not run the show anymore. But wait till the Saudi magpies come by with a big pile of money and snatch Saka away the same way that they snatched Tony Gordon from us. It could happen. So don't be so we're good and blah blah blah. Look. Just be ready. It could happen to you too, Hoss.
Okay, whatever. Well, Champions League, welcome back.
Welcome back to this side of the pond. Let's talk about a little bit of American football. So,
boo.
Okay, number one, the Commanders' name is not going to be. Yeah, well, maybe not. So it turns out that there's various other trademarks on this name, and there was a court case that recently decided that the Washington franchise does not have the right to.
I feel like we might have did this story. Didn't names leak and then people started filing there was.
Yeah, I don't know if the Commanders that is exactly what happened. That somebody camped out on this name and said, hey, go ahead and name them this, but it's going to be mine. And that's exactly what happened. So it's going to go to appeal, but I think we are pushing back towards Washington football team, maybe, hopefully. Brian had some solution when I was talking to him about this, about naming him something else. What was your idea, Brian?
Earlier on, if you remember when people were thinking about name change and before the Commanders became solidified, everyone thought of, no, not Redskins as if with a potato, but more of the Red Wolves and the Red Tails.
Yeah.
Everybody loved Red Wolves. Everybody wanted that name. And for some odd reason, we got that silly excuse of it's we didn't have time. We got to deal with the whole issue with, name rights and copyright. And then you say all that, and then this happens.
This is exactly that thing.
It took you 2 years to get to the point where it's you can't even handle this right. To me, it's this is why you're a fucked up franchise.
Dan Snyder could screw up changing a light bulb. I mean, it's like the easiest thing in the world, and he just can't. Like, there's no competent people who want to work for him. That's really where this comes down to. Which, speaking of which, competent people.
Team.
Yeah, well, no, still not yet. Magic Johnson saved us. Don't worry, it's all okay now.
Well, we don't know yet.
Right. That's
They
where
haven't even yet. Exactly.
So the other thing that's holding up this sale is that the owners haven't voted on it yet. They had their spring meeting, or they're about to have their spring meeting, I guess, next week or something like that. And the vote is not on the agenda. And in particular, Jerry Jones is somehow involved in like holding this up because he's a dick. I don't know what the deal is.
Because he's the actual commissioner.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
That's the reason.
So, but 24 of the owners have to vote in favor of this. And this is the first ownership meeting that Dan and Tanya will not be at because they don't own the team really anymore. They're in France, last I checked. There's a great Twitter handle that follows their airplanes and yacht.
The airplane.
Yeah, Dan Snyder's yacht tracker. It also tracks, because of course Dan and Tanya have their own airplanes each to fly around.
Look at these dead ass birds.
Right. Oh man, a bird strike on Dan Snyder's plane, like over the ocean.
No.
That would be a terrible thing to have.
I will not sit here and condone that type of foolishness.
No, that would be awful. We definitely don't want that.
You are out of bounds for that, friend. If it does happen, I hope they pull a Sully and it lands safely in whatever ocean and it's over.
Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. So Jerry's holding this up because he says like he knows how that organization is or something like that. Who's got a read on this? Does anybody know anything about this?
I don't. I thought it was Irsay, but if it's him, I'm surprised.
It's both of them actually.
Irsay, I can see more of him because
when you say the organization, they mean the group that's coming in for this.
No, I think it has to do with Jerry like trying to protect himself essentially because he doesn't want somebody else to get the information from the reports
reportings yeah
because there was the report that was commissioned, and if Dan still owns the team, then he's put the kibosh on that report. But if Josh Harris and Magic Johnson buy the team and they've got the report and they're the ones entitled to release it, they might release some of the information that would implicate Jerry and all of the stuff that he's
that's going to get that's okay. Then that definitely is why this has not been signed yet. No, that makes
there's probably a bunch of them that are on in this report.
We got to make sure them contracts is tight with Dan. If they're like, look here, all that stuff you found out, you still can't talk about.
So the theory is that they're going to call
ProPublica or somebody's going to get it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. It's got to be
the Washington Post. Somebody's going to get it.
Yeah. Sally Jenkins come out of retirement.
It's an exclusive report here from Washington Post TV.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Breaking news. Well, J. Scott Smith's got time, so maybe he can break the story.
Yeah. It's there.
He's there. Don't have it yet. It's not here.
But if he got a job writing for a Philly paper and broke the story wide open about why the Washington team sucks, he'll win like all of the awards, the Philadelphia Journalism Awards, left and right.
They'll be sending friggin' cheesesteaks to him for the end of time.
Right? Yeah, he'll be a Philly legend. They'll build a statue of him right next to Rocky.
Right next to Rocky.
Yeah, it's the dumbest thing. Well, that's it. We finished the whole show.
Yeah, I want to hear. You know what the craziest thing I found out over the last few days? Grace Coolidge, during her time in the White House, had a pet raccoon.
Yes.
Named Rebecca. Rebecca the raccoon.
Rebecca the raccoon
was sent to President Coolidge as a gift from his Mississippi supporters during Thanksgiving for them to eat it, and they kept it. Craziest thing, and it has a picture inside the White House. The craziest thing I've ever seen. That and the little boy that saw Ronald Reagan was like, "Daddy, look, it's Reagan."
Yes.
Like, what the hell? Where the hell am I?
Next week, I'll tell you about the river horse.
The river. I know. That's a tease. That's a tease.
That is a tease. All right, so that's going to be next week. Also, we're going to ask Tez about his trip to the White House, where he was advising, of course, on the debt ceiling negotiations going on behind me. So you hear that music, which means we've come to the end of the show. So we want to say thank you to Tyrus for joining us.
Yes.
Go get his book, all 3 of his books.
Enlightening conversation.
Go check him out on tour. Thank you also to our radio partners, QVC, Home Shopping Network, and Food Network, all those guys. Thanks to NOTN for keeping us on for another week, we assume, although we just definitely haven't checked. Thanks to our digital media, Meatball, Isaac Elam. Thanks to our home on the interwebs, coplaymedia.com. And thanks, as always, to our family here at Beltway Radio for making us sound as smooth as the debt ceiling negotiations. All right, where can everybody get you on the socials and stuff, Tez?
You can find me on my Twitter space. No,
yes.
That doesn't work. No, you can find me on Twitter at DC Cortez and on Instagram at Catch 'em Quarter.
All right, you can find me and the show on Twitter at ChipChatRR. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram at RipChipChat. And you can, of course, find us every Thursday night, remote or otherwise, here on 9:30 on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm Chip. That's Tez. Bryan was here for a little while. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps.
Sweet balls.